Alrighty, it's Friday. Jack is with me primarily because he's a super Broncos fan, and I wanted to do the Ravens preview with the Broncos with Jack here. But before we do that, I think football was set back a little bit last night. It is what it is. I split my bets. J Mart hit his two prop bets. That game was so ridiculous. It's hard to say that one team got screwed over. It felt like there were so many weird plays. Jets end up winning, is what it is. I don't know. You have any takeaway from that game before we get into the Ravens Broncos?
No.
Right?
Aaron Rodgers played decent in the second half, but in the first half, he did not look like he should be on an NFL field. So
Yeah. I was gonna say the Texans gambled in the first half and it worked. And in the second half, a couple plays and just very elementary football. I don't know if the Texans are gonna make a move here, as this is the trade deadline, but feels like if they're gonna beat the Chiefs or compete with the Ravens, maybe compete with your Broncos here in down the stretch, they look like they need to add something on offense. Their offensive line and Stroud looked like he was banged up. So anyway, Jets win. I guess they're still alive for now. Let's do Ravens Broncos, man. I wanted to set it up this way. Okay, how are the Broncos going to win the game? You're a Broncos fan. What are you looking for? What type of game? What matchups? Give me. Let's just get right into it, man. What type of game does it? If the Broncos are going to pull this off, what type of game should we expect?
so my biggest worry has been the moving of the ball on offense. I feel like on offense, we are struggling to get big chunk plays, and it's really these like 5 or 6 yard checkdowns, and then we get 1 or 2 first downs, and then it's a punt. So that's really where I'm worried for the most part. I would say defensively, I mean, we have a couple guys having all pro seasons on the defensive line. And so I think that's huge for us as a program. And so we're gonna have to be able to stop the run. We're gonna have to be able to stop Henry and Lamar when he's scrambling. And I mean, that's just kind of a given, but my biggest worry is moving the ball actually.
So let's go. Let's stay on that side of the ball then first. 11 for 17 on third down last week against Carolina. You're telling me the offense right now, they're staying ahead of schedule. They're getting the 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3s, and converting them on the road against Baltimore, where we know, we should put up at least 3 or 4 touchdowns. What exactly, if they're going to get chunk plays, where's it going to come from? Because when you look at that roster, I mean, there's not a ton of skill players on the outside, at least from the Ravens fan looking in. Who are the main guys that if the Broncos are going to get a 30, 40-yard play down the field, is it the backup running back McLaughlin? Is it Sutton? Who we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, impressed with Troutman last week. Troutman had a phenomenal game. I'm definitely impressed with like his body of work this year. So finding him in the seam, and really for me, it comes down to Bo Nix creating and everybody being on the same page when he's out of the pocket, because that's where the magic's going to happen. We're not going to win one-on-one battles. I mean, Sutton's our best receiver, and that's not really saying much. Like these guys don't have the experience and like the pedigree to go win one-on-one battles against a good defense like the Ravens. So it's going to be creating out of the pocket, making sure everybody's on the same page.
Where are we at with Javante Williams? He was hurt last year. It was his rookie year the year before, and that's when he burst onto the scene, looked very dominant. Numbers, I'm not gonna pretend like I saw all 17 carries last week, but 17 carries for 44 yards against the Panthers. What's the deal with him? And what's the difference? What's the dynamic when they bring in? Is it McLaughlin? That's how you say his name?
Yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin. I like McLaughlin more as a pass catcher, and they brought in. I mean, Williams was drafted. I think he was a second round pick to be a like pass catching running back, and now he's not really even doing that. And so I like McLaughlin better. I mean, I liked P Ryan. We had P Ryan last year, and he kind of did that same role. And like, I mean, we need to establish the run, but Williams has not been very good at that.
And Bo Nix, what's the read? If you're going to stop Bo Nix, he was 27 for 38 last week. To me, it's a gamer. When you say get outside the pocket, is he making good decisions when he gets outside the pocket? What's his footwork like in the pocket? And if you were the opposing defense, would you be blitzing him? How would you defend him?
Yeah, I'd blitz. I mean, I'd put a lot of pressure on him, make him make quick split second decisions with what he's going to do with the football. In my opinion, I think he forces it sometimes, and he's gotten better at that over the years so far. So he's obviously gotten better. But if I'm the Ravens, I'm trying to make him force throws into tight windows, and then bad things usually happen from there when it's rookie quarterback. So
And then staying at one more on that offensive side of the ball, how good has Sean Payton been on the first 15 plays this year? Which of the Ravens? Because to me, that's where if Denver's going to have a chance, it's going to be that first drive where Peyton's already prepared. He's got a few plays ready to go. How's it look to start the season for the Broncos in the first quarter? Those first couple of drives, have they been sharp? Are they more of a second half team? What's their offense been like?
the first few games, we started off really slow, a lot of punts, but I feel like that's changed. I mean, the Panthers are a glorified JV team, so I'm not really reading much into that. I'm looking a lot at like the Bucks game and the Chargers game where our offense really was coming out firing and we were making big plays. Our guys were in positions to make plays, and I really like that. And when you can piggyback off of a defense that's as dominant as ours right now, it makes your life a lot easier as a quarterback and as an offensive play caller.
All right, let's go to the defense. Why is it dominant? Most people, I think, from the outside looking in, it's like, all right, so the Broncos gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. That feels like 10 years ago at this point, even though it was last year, right? Like ever since that game, the Broncos defense has been one of the best. Vance Joseph is there. Sertain jumps out, right? That's the top corner. He's the best player. Walk me through it. What are we looking at here with this Broncos defense, and how are they going to contain, defend, try to stop Lamar?
Yeah, well, I like our secondary a lot. Locke has stepped up. McMillan, who plays the nickel, has stepped up a lot. Riley Moss, opposite of Sertan, has had a great year. Our secondary has been locked down. And so I think when it comes down to the like playing against the Ravens, we just need to make sure that our guys up front, like Jones and Zach Allen, who's having a Pro Bowl year at D tackle, like those guys have to have a game. Otherwise, we're not going to win. If Henry averages 5 yards a carry, I'd say that's probably the most important stat. If Derrick Henry averages 5 yards a carry or more, I don't think we win this game.
And you lost your linebacker Singleton, right?
Yeah, Singleton's out. And he's a big part, but I mean, we got Baron Browning back. He's a big pass rusher off the edge. And so he actually kind of came back right as Singleton got hurt, was out for the season. So I'm like feeling pretty good about our linebacking core.
Defensive line, is it a big rotation? Is it why is it so successful? Because the names aren't jumping out at anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're guys that are just like have something to prove, chip a lot of chip on their shoulder guys. Like Zach Allen is a big D tackle. He doesn't get a lot of publicity. I mean, he's probably a all pro this year. And so these guys are like playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're underestimating us. They're doubting us. Like, oh, that's a nobody, like that kind of thing. Like, almost you're almost feeding into it right now. So
Who's the linebacker, and is it a safety? Is it a linebacker? Is it one person that spies Lamar? I know you don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but what do you think, and what would you do, frankly, as far as your personnel and contain Lamar?
I'd do that exactly. I'd find a spy, especially on like these RPOs. Like definitely, anytime he's got time in the pocket, you need somebody in the middle of the field. And all of the safeties in the corners and the guys playing in the secondary, if there's good coverage, they need to be turning back and looking at the QB, seeing what he's doing.
Who's that guy? Is that Browning, or is he more of a pass rusher?
Brownie's more of a pass rusher. I'll be curious. That would have been Singleton, so I'll be curious to see what rotation they put in and who they have doing that.
Have you guys had faced a rushing quarterback yet? I know you faced Fields a little bit, right? But he didn't. Certainly not Lamar. There really is nobody like Lamar.
Yeah, I agree. Bryce Young,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, that's like Lamar. That's exactly what I've been seeing lately. Bryce Young, and then I see Lamar. So Broncos defense, secondary is lockdown, so we're not going to see a ton of blitzing. Is that basically Russian, or do we see a ton of blitzing and they play on the island out there, right?
Yes, yes. Sertan's on an island every time. They're getting a lot of faith with Riley Moss, and like McMillan has stepped up huge. He stepped up last year at nickel, and then we got Locke on the backside. Like they're letting these guys work, and then hoping the pass rush can get there before stuff breaks down. And that's what worries me about Lamar, because when the play breaks down, he's so good.
What's your take on Flowers? Because I've been super impressed with him. How do you rank him as top receivers across the board?
I
No.
think he benefits a lot from Lamar. I'll be curious to see. I think you'll learn your answer to that with how Deontay Johnson plays the rest of the year.
Yeah, we haven't even. Yeah, this honestly is the first time I've mentioned it. There's been so much going on this week. I'm too busy celebrating the Yankees' demise, and the Ravens trade for Deontay Johnson. I'm happy, but it was one of those where I'm like, can we get to the quarterback here, please? So I'll see what if they have another trade in store. But Deontay Johnson, what is your take that he's just as good as Zay Flowers? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I think that we'll learn. I mean, they're very similar players, both kind of smaller speedster guys that you can move around a lot. I always thought Deontay Johnson was over 6 foot, but he's like 5'10" speedster guy, like gonna make you miss, but he's not gonna like out jump any DBs. Like Sertan's gonna have a very interesting matchup on either one of those guys.
How do you guys? To me, the best matchup for the Ravens. I mean, we saw it briefly, I guess, with Hernandez and Gronk. But to me, the way the NFL is, if you can get the two tight ends as your two best weapons, it feels like that's what Kansas City's turned into. Noah Gray looks like Travis Kelsey light sometimes, and likely in Andrews, I feel like that should be the identity. So, as a Broncos fan, if that ball starts going to the outside, and instead of those 5-6 yard right over the middle to Likely and Andrews, aren't you happier? Like, don't you want Lamar to kind of throw the ball outside the numbers?
Yeah, because I mean, when you got two guys that are lockdown corners, he's going to make a mistake at some point, and those guys are going to make him pay. And I feel like our safeties, like it's almost a blessing for them that they almost don't have to worry about Sertan's side of the field because Sertan is so good. I would argue he's a top three corner in the NFL. He might be number one.
Yeah, I thought he was number one 2 years ago. Then I didn't think he was amazing last year. I thought some of the advanced numbers proved that out. But then this year,
He's been unbelievable.
so what's the Broncos? What's the state of mind right now? Because they're over. I guess they're overachieving. They clearly can't win the Super Bowl with this roster. Do they want to make a trade? Do they just want to kind of ride this out and see if they can get the 6 or 7 seed? Or do they
Yeah.
think they can beat the Chiefs if they're just like one piece away?
Well, I mean, I'll remind you again, for the last team to beat the Chiefs. So I would say probably win a playoff game is probably our current goal right now, is to get to the 6 or 7 spot, win a playoff game, and see what we can do.
So you don't expect a big splash here because next week, what's the trade deadline? It ends next week, right? This is
Yeah, yeah. Any I don't have any faith in a big splash that would actually pay off, and I also think that our front office is very happy with where we're at right now, especially like with the roster and how we're performing and everything.
Were you taken aback? We've done a good 10, 11 minutes now. Haven't talked about the spread. I was a little surprised it was 9 points as an opening line. Lamar didn't even practice for a couple days. He's nursing, his back's bothered. No, I mean he's going to play, but what did you think of that? 9 points.
Yeah, I mean it's a big number for two teams that are 5-3. I mean Baltimore's a tough place to play, obviously, but I'm definitely a little bit surprised.
Yeah. So, all right, give it to me. How do you think it all plays out on Sunday? You got Ravens 34-10.
No, I don't. I think I'm going to call it a 29-24 game. Ravens are up. Broncos get the ball back with somewhere between 2 minutes and 1:30 left with a chance to go score 7 to go win.
It's
And then
amazing.
you can kind of decide how that goes. I think our defense locks them down for a good bit of the first half, and then they have a big third quarter, and then Denver has to play from behind, and you learn a lot about who Bo Nix is as a QB.
It is amazing how things have changed rapidly. Ravens have a lead in the fourth quarter. Before Lamar, we would throw parties we're up 10-9. Ray Lewis is out there. They're gonna have to come up with a miracle to beat us. Now it's like we could be up by 50. Like your analysis of the game is, yeah, the Ravens will probably score about 30 points, like they always do. It's like that is still. I'm still adjusting to that. I'm telling you, we just would win games 13-6, 9-7. I had a blast. I thought it was fun. Now it's like, yeah, it's a roller coaster. So basically, just describe the Browns game to me. So that looks like a fun time if you're going to the game. So what about prop bets? Before we get out of here, I know middle of the day for you, so I appreciate you doing this. But if there was any prop bets, I know you said the one thing you said that would be a big indicator would be Derrick Henry's yards per carry. You have a feeling that if the Broncos are able to get 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, putting some words in your mouth that Lamar makes a mistake here or there. But if Derrick Henry is running downhill, you guys have a chance to get blown out. What about on the other side? If you guys are going to score 30 points, what would be the best prop bets you think to target?
Yeah, I've got my eyes on a couple right now, and both of them kind of play into how I see the game going. I think the Broncos have a really good red zone defense, and so I'm going to look at a lot of field goal props. And I think that's kind of a big thing to consider here, just because of like how the game's going to play out. I think our red zone defense is going to lock them down. Other prop bet I have my eye on is Bo Nix attempts. Need to go look at the line there to make sure it's kind of where I want it to be. But like I said, I think they're going to play from behind. He's going to be throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think you go to Baltimore and try to run the ball up the middle. That just seems like you're asking yourself for a disaster.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Will the Broncos spread them out? Do they have enough receivers, or will they have 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends? What does that look like if they have 5 weapons out there?
We're pretty. I won't say we're depleted. We're inexperienced. We have Sutton. Troy Franklin's a rookie. He went to Oregon. He had a really bad drop last week. He's a good player, but he needs to grow up a little bit. Mims, very similar guy, like so much talent. He's our kind of punt kick returner guy right now, but he plays receiver. Went to Oklahoma. He's a stud, but he needs to mature, like make sure he's making the right decisions, stuff like that. So I would say we have the weapons to, but the experience is lacking.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool. Appreciate you doing that. That felt like a nice little breakdown there to what to expect of the game. My take on it, as because I never bet on the Ravens, like one way or the other. I got the first half right last week. I was like, it feels like it's gonna be a sloppy game, but I just can't figure out exactly what the problem is with the defense. So it's hard for me to make a prediction when I don't really know exactly what's going on. Just feels like a lack of communication, and it wouldn't surprise me if the game. I kind of agree with what you said. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a back and forth and kind of came down to the end. Nothing really surprised me with the Ravens. So I'll enjoy the game. I just want them to run the ball more. I don't want to be negative today. I'm in a good mood, but last week it just blows my mind that we have the one. There's only like so many players in the NFL that don't have comps, and Patrick Ricard for the Ravens, the fullback, like doesn't have a comp. He's like this amazing fullback who's 300
He's
pounds.
like 290 pounds. Yeah, it's crazy.
And you have Henry, and when they do the toss right, toss left, I don't know what defender in the NFL is like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like I don't want to get in the way of that. So anyway,
That's where I miss Von Miller, because Von Miller could set that edge so well, and like he would be able to defend that all day. But
yeah, the only way you stop
that's 7 years ago. So unfortunately,
the only way you stop Derrick Henry is before he gets started. Because if he gets started, good luck.
yeah,
Yeah.
8 yard, 7 yard, 9 yard gains. Yeah. So you need Browning to have a good game. He's that guy on the edge. If he can set that edge and kind of blow that play up before it starts, that's a huge setup for us.
Cool. Well, we will check it out. You'll have your college football games tomorrow. Penn State, Ohio State at noon. Florida loses by 50 probably to Georgia in the middle of the afternoon. We got it. What's it? Is there a great night game tomorrow? I didn't even double check the schedule yet.
I'm not sure. I don't know the timing yet. I know Ole Miss is upset that they don't get any night games, so that might be something. But yeah, I know the Florida game's in the afternoon. Ohio State, Penn State might be a night game.
No, they're playing that game at noon.
Oh, they're playing that game at noon. Wow, big noon kickoff. That's crazy.
I wanted to see it because I haven't seen the quarterback yet. Is it Aller? Drew Aller, right?
Yeah, I'm a hater. I don't think he's legit. I don't really like either of those guys. That's almost like a game I hate to bet on because I think they're both kind of fraudulent. But being honest, I don't like either of them.
Did you ever watch the Connor Stallions thing on Netflix?
No, I really need to though. I definitely need to check that out.
It's worth it because there's a lot of Ohio State stuff in there. But yeah, I'll enjoy that game. I'm still not betting college football and just not my thing. So good luck to you, Jack. Appreciate you doing this. I will have what else we gotta do? I have a pod with Clayton and J Mart out in the morning. I'll be here then on Sunday. And yeah, good luck to everybody. Hope everybody has a great Friday. Take care, man.
Go Broncos.
No, go Ravens. See ya.